I'm from the IT department. You want to go ahead and click this link?
A Nigerian prince needs my help?
Yeah, exactly. You would be surprised, dude. People click on stupid shit. I'm like, did you see who that email came from? Did you read the email address? Like, no, it said that it came from this person. I'm like, well, the fucking email address is in Russia, so I wouldn't click on any links.
I always think that's hilarious with the whole, you just check on the email and it's like XZVR at blah 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 blah. Some random.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't. It's fucking crazy.
Hello, and welcome to Pixel Pints. We are live. We live every single week here on twitch.tv/pixelpints. And gotta get rid of that music. I thought it was fully off. My bad. So we are here every single week. We talk about two great things, which is great beer and video games. I'm your host, Mitch. McWomble is out for the weekend. That means you get me as your host. That's either a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not sure yet. We'll find out by the end of the episode. And I'm joined by three beautiful, kind, amazing, quality people to talk about beer and video games. I'm joined all the way from feudal Japan, Evan Piotrowski. How are you doing?
He went back in time.
Hell yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did go back in time. Yeah, 800-year span of time. Guess what century of feudal Japan I currently reside in. The chalkboard gives nothing away. I'm good. It's a Sunday, and test week is coming up, so have fewer things to do at work. Just counting down the days. That's about it. Nothing exciting is going on here.
All right.
Just having a good time.
And then going the complete opposite direction, we're coming back to the States because we're going to Viva Las Vegas. Mr.
Woo.
Burkoff, how you doing?
Pretty good. I'm a little exhausted. My day was extremely busy. My niece, she's cheerleading now. She's 9, and this is like the first thing that she's done other than play like little kid soccer. And so, yeah, we went to go see a game that she was cheerleading at, and then this afternoon my nephew had a soccer game, so we went to the soccer game this afternoon. It's just been a day of kids sports.
Oh, you're living
out
what
in
it's like to be a parent.
I know, out in the sun. Well, the nice thing about being an uncle is I just get to deal with them during the fun times, and then like I get to bounce out after.
You can
So,
have them back.
Yeah,
Well, and
exactly.
then, I was going to say, are you going to show your niece Bring It On? Now that
I
she's
think
doing
that
cheerleading?
I think that her grandma or one of her grandmas did show her that video.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was a little younger than I thought. I thought you were going to be like, oh, she's too young for that. I was actually shocked you actually said that the grandma wanted to show her that video. Because that is a raunchy show, movie. That's a raunchy
I actually
movie.
haven't seen the movie, so I don't even know.
Wait, what? You've never seen Bring It
No,
On?
I've never seen. No,
Oh.
I've just seen the clips, like the fucking highlight stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. You need to watch the actual movie. It's like a cult
All right,
classic.
okay.
It's great.
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree with me.
And then all the way from the one that nods and agrees about Bring It On is all the way in the UK. We got Dan. How we doing?
Hello. Yeah, good. I'm just not doing much. Sunday, work again tomorrow. Just gearing up for that. 3 weeks to the next holiday. That's always good. And so I get to play some games again because you don't really get to play much during term time.
All right. Well, we are here at twitch.tv/pixelpints every single weekend. If you want to check us out, if you just follow us on Twitter at pixel_pints, you will know when we will go live, which then it gets archived. Archived. If you don't know that word, look it up. Archived. On YouTube under Pixel Pints, or you can look it out on Twitch too. And then we also are every podcast service you can find. We're there. Just look up Pixel Pints. You'll find us. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, we're at Pixel Pints Pod. We just post like cool pictures of beer and stuff. It's all good. It's all funsies on Instagram. It's all business on Twitter. No beer. We're not sponsored by any beer company, and we do not promote drinking. Please drink responsibly. And now that we got all that out of the way, let's talk about beers.
We're going to the beers.
Beers. Yes, I do have beer.
I'm glad, dude. That's awesome. It's been a couple weeks.
Well, it's because we've done the show in the morning, and it's like I'm not gonna drink in the morning.
Well, yeah, last week, I wasn't gonna drink it. Fucking.
I just have one more of the Samboro premium beer, so I just might as well get rid of it. So, gonna put it.
The Sapporo.
Yep. So I'm gonna put a nice koozie. Just, seal that up. It's the best groomsman gift you can give somebody is a little Yeti cozy koozie. Yes, cozy koozie. That's what I'm calling it.
Dude, koozies are totally a Midwestern thing. Nobody else.
Yeah, it's a beer cozy, isn't it?
The best thing is you give it to
beer koozies are a Midwestern thing through and through, dude.
On top of it,
there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying.
No. No.
Yeah.
But on top of it, you give it to them.
I call it a koozie as well. Yeah.
You give it to them at the event that you're being the groomsman for because you use it the entire event. So
yeah, totally.
That's when you give it to them. Don't give it to them before the event. Give it to them at the event because that's when they're actually going to use it. It was so freaking hot out during that wedding I went to that this came in handy for everyone. All the groomsmen were like, "Thank God, our friend bought this for us. Like the groom bought this for us because we were all like, oh my God, it's so freaking hot outside. And what's better? Cold beer."
My
it's
sister,
it's a Yeti, which is a great brand. Yeah.
My sister will take hers to the bar, and she's like, "Don't pour that in a glass. Just give me the can."
Yeah, I'm not gonna do a glass this time. I forgot to grab one when I went over there. Like I have a can of water, and I meant to keep it in there and then pour the beer into the glass, and just it all screwed up. So like we're just gonna go off, offhand. Beer. Burkoff, what do you got?
Well, I kind of gave it away on Twitter a little earlier, and if you've been sneaky and watching me sip my beers, or you're watching the video version of this, I got my Sam Adams, but this is the Oktoberfest Sam Adams.
Is the season? I'm jealous, man. There's
Dude,
no
totally,
Oktoberfest stuff in Japan.
Really? Not at all?
I love Oktoberfest. That might change. I think maybe some Japanese brewers might hop on for seasonal stuff because all the big breweries do seasonal stuff, like very gimmicky. Not I wouldn't call Oktoberfest gimmicky, but the stuff that like Sapporo and Kirin do are some gimmicky beers. Right. But maybe one day like the craft beer places will hop onto the Oktoberfest.
So that's
season.
part of the reason. That's part of the reason that I picked Sam Adams, because a lot of the shit that you get out here is like, it's Oktoberfest, but it's like a potpourri of different spices in the beer, and like that's not what I think of when I think of German beer. You know what I mean? But
they just poured some coffee mate pumpkin spice into the into the batter or something.
But Sam Adams actually does a good job, I feel like, of it has those notes, those flavor notes, what you expect out of like an Oktoberfest beer, but it's nice and subdued and it's easy to drink like a German lager, which is, I don't know for a fact, but this is what I imagine, is actually being drunk over in Germany.
I'm gonna shit all over your dream, Matt.
Really? Is it the fucking like overly spiced shit?
No, so basically I went to Oktoberfest, must have been how many years ago now? 8 years ago. And actually Oktoberfest, the main part of Oktoberfest falls in September and is done by October. Right. So that's the first thing I was shocked about. Because I went this weekend. It was this weekend actually, like 8 years ago. And I had to get them to take me to specialty beer tents to actually drink German craft beer, because all the beer being served was basically just German lager. That's all.
Oh, really? It's just the standard pilsners?
Yeah, there's a standard pilsners. Like they thought I was weird. They thought I was weird that I wanted to try like specialty beers, and I was like, "Oh, it's Oktoberfest. I want to try all the different German, and they're like, "Yeah, people don't do that."
That's hilarious. Okay. So it's just the beer just doesn't even show up.
They pointed and said, the only people who do that, and they pointed, there's like 60-year-olds, they do that. But everyone else, all like the young generation, I was like, fair enough. So, so I did get to try, and there were some good selections. But generally, what most people drank in the big tankers Packers was just Pilsner.
Wow. Okay.
So
Well,
I
this
was
is
a bit disappointed by that, but
this is actually closer to just like regular German Pilsner, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. It's much easier to drink than a lot of the shit that they sell here. That's like the Oktoberfest beer.
yeah. So
So-
I thought the same because I don't expect to experience Oktoberfest internationally, and it was like a beer festival with like different types of beer, and then I actually
Right.
went to the real thing in Munich, and I was like, I was expecting like
Wow.
more. So yeah, but it was awesome. Don't get me wrong, it was an amazing weekend. I had an amazing time, and we're lucky enough. One of my German friends, her mate was like an old family in Munich. We got taken to like the middle table in the middle of the biggest tent, and we sat there
That's
all
awesome.
morning because obviously like afternoon his family were coming, so we sat there
Right.
all morning and like kind of soaked up the atmosphere. It was still packed, and it was really cool. We were very lucky, but so it was amazing to do. And like so you have to queue to get in the tents normally. Luckily we didn't have to. And then there's all sorts of stuff going outside. There's carnival rides. There's a cocktail tent for later in the afternoon, evening. There's like a nightclub tent. It just goes and goes and goes and goes.
What about
brilliant.
food? Do they have?
Yeah, the food was good. All different types of
Okay.
German food. That's the one thing I did end up getting on board with. Trying every different type of like German sausage, German like specialty, all sorts
Yeah.
of stuff. That was really good.
Nice. Okay.
So yeah, if you ever get a chance to get over to Munich at this time of year, it is worth it. But
Oh, I'd love to
just
go.
don't be surprised if it's not all the craft beer you'd expect.
Right.
That's what I was shocked by.
Okay.
Well, on that note, has anybody else got some beers to share today?
Yeah, I got a beer. So
I
this
see
one
how
I've
it
been
is.
saving.
You're just rubbing it in after you won last week, and just like whatever.
I didn't turn
Whatever.
the hat around. This could
Whatever.
just be.
I
who
saw
knows what's
that.
on the other
I
side?
saw
It is a
that.
Packers hat. We
I
know it's a
saw
Packers hat.
that. I knew it.
You know it's a Packers hat, man.
Well, no, it's like it's a Minnesota Wild hockey hat. It's the same. Milwaukee Bucks. Sorry.
You know
else
what?
is
Just
green?
one thing
Just
I will
kidding.
tell you, Evan, before you touch your beer, is if Packers lose, the Bears lose, and the Lions win, they are the top of our division. That's
Yeah.
embarrassing. It's
That is embarrassing. But luckily, I mean, I don't think they'll be up there for long, even if that happens.
okay.
Considering the
The
schedule,
Bears will beat the Texans.
teams they have to
You'll
play.
lose. The Lions will win. The Bears will be on top. That's all that matters.
Who's
Sure.
Packers playing today?
The
Buccaneers.
Bucks,
Ooh,
not good.
Not good.
Rodgers never does well against Brady, much
Nope.
to my dismay. But anyways, for beers, so this one's been sitting in the fridge for a while. Her Majesty bought it for me and it's been sitting there. She's like, "When are you gonna drink that beer I bought you?" I'm like, "It's too high in alcohol." When by the time I remember it's in the fridge, it's at the point of the night where like I can't enjoy this.
Right.
So actually, I'm respecting the gift because I don't want to ruin it after I'm 5, 6, 7 beers in. So finally, she's like, "You drink that fucking." She didn't say fuck, but
Whatever
drink
the
that beer.
Japanese equivalent is for fucking.
I can't wait. I would
Yeah.
love to see her swear. Like she's so sweet. I would
What-
be interesting to
what-
see her
alright.
actually swear at you.
Dude, what would be the Japanese phrase like? You better drink that fucking beer. Like, how would you say that in Japanese?
There isn't swearing in
I know,
Japanese.
but like,
way.
I command thee to drink this beer.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, you could say something like, 買ってきてあげたビール必ず飲んでな飲まないと怒るよ So those like you better drink that beer I bought you otherwise I'm gonna get mad. I mean it's not the same as fuck. But I also can't picture her saying lots of these words, so
Right, exactly. All right, okay.
yeah. Anyways, so I am drinking it, but so okay, I'll show the beer. This is
Whoa.
dark
Interest. Yeah.
Closer,
impact.
closer.
And if you
Okay,
can
Down,
read that,
down.
Imperial Stout.
Dark
Oh.
Imperial.
I'm trying to
Dark
see the
Impact
image.
Imperial Stout.
Oh, it's a hallway. Okay, cool.
oh yeah, and that's the logo for Kyoto Brewery. It's kind of like this
Oh,
hexagon with a K
Nice.
in it.
I like how it kind of matches
And
with
so-
the artwork as like a window.
They often will label their beers with 4 kanji, and make it really difficult. It's not kanji that anyone says. I think it says Shinsen Chui. It's like be careful of the deep kind of like what do they call it? Oh, it's not important. So basically, it's an imperial stout. It is 13%,
Nice. That's
Whoa.
fucking
Wine.
wine, dude. Yeah,
which
it's
is why
wine.
I
Like a
haven't.
fortified wine.
Yeah. So let me. I have it here. So it's an imperial stout. Yeah, it's 13%, 40 IBUs, the International Bitters
Okay,
and
so-
Units. For
yeah.
people that don't know,
Yeah.
that's really high.
That's- yeah.
And so in it, let's see, it's got coffee, cacao powder, lactose, and lactose is actually funny. And this is what I learned in England when I went to Big Smoke Brewery. Lots of English beers tend to be lower in alcohol than American beers by quite a lot.
Right.
Like you're looking at like 4.2%, something like that,
Yep.
and which I actually appreciate now. If you want to go for a session, you don't want to
Yeah,
be
it's a good
drinking
way to- yeah.
7% IPAs, right? And so I did appreciate that. But he had said what they try to do is because it's so low in alcohol, it's hard to get that like bite that kind of, for example, if it were an IPA or a pale ale, it's hard to get that hoppy kind of more high alcohol-y punch and bite in a beer that's so low. So what they do is they add lactic acid to it, and what that does is it lowers the alcohol content but keeps the flavor, which I thought was really interesting. So this has lactose in it, but it's still 13%. So I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm not a chemist. I don't
Because
know.
lactose and lactic acid are very different. That's why.
Okay.
Danger,
okay,
Will
right.
That'd be
Robinson.
why.
Danger.
If it's lactose, basically what they've made is a coffee. They've basically made you a coffee by putting coffee in there, lactose and what else did you say was in there? Cacao. They've made you like a mocha, and then turn it into
Oh, sure,
alcohol.
sure. Okay.
Because you've got your milk, you've got your coffee, and you've got your cocoa powder. So they've made you a mocha and then beerified it for all intents and purposes.
I like how I
If you
said
like
I'm not a
mochas, it might be
chemist.
quite tastes nice.
I like how I said I'm not a chemist, but I didn't directly ask
The chemist in the crew.
chemist.
The actual chemist in the crew.
maybe I should have stipulated. No, but you are totally right. I did mix my words. I meant lactic acid when I was speaking with the brewer
Yeah,
that I spoke
that
with in
would make
England,
sense.
and just to double check, this does say lactose in Japanese. So it's basically a very rich beer, very, very deep. I mean, it smells so good and it tastes really, really good. It has a very good balance of coffee and chocolate. Like you were saying, like a mocha with the lactose in there, Dan.
Right.
You're right on the nose with that, and it does have all those elements to it.
It would be my idea of my worst ever beer. I hate
Really?
coffee.
You don't
really?
like any of those?
I don't like
I
stouts.
love
Remember,
those.
I was like the only one with a Guinness. I was like, yeah, no, I drink them, but I would never. It would never be my first choice.
Yeah.
I get it to an extent. I am not a big stout drinker either. All of my friends are.
It's a
like
winter
my
beer.
English friends, British
It's a
friends.
winter
Yeah,
beer for me.
It is a winter
For me,
beer too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And I'll
drink
have.
it more. I would drink it
Go ahead,
more in
Dan.
the winter. But if I had a choice, I would drink IPAs all day long.
And it is a beer that I don't mind because there are a lot of different flavors and nuance with stouts, but it's the type of beer that I might have one of and enjoy it,
Right,
but
right,
move on
yeah.
to different styles throughout the rest of the
Yeah.
night.
Nice.
And this is really, really. I wanted to get a proper glass. The only thing I had is the Left Hand Brewery Nitro glass, but
That's
I mean it's
one of my
made for a
favorite
stout.
stouts,
So. Oh yeah, if anyone wants to have an amazing stout, Left Hand
Dude, it's
Brewing
it's so
Company's
good.
Nitro is amazing. Yeah, but this is so rich that I'm definitely going to sip this. I can already feel it getting to my head because I've had about half of it. But yeah, this is a great beer.
2
But
glasses of
also,
wine.
there was a reason why it was in the fridge for 2 months when I was waiting
Right.
for a moment where I could relax with it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
makes
this is
sense.
this is really, really good.
And Dan, you got anything?
Not at this time in the morning. I was drinking, and I didn't drink beer last night. I drank white wine. So
Okay.
That's all good. So, let's get to the topic today. Everyone thinks we're going to talk about GTA. To everyone's surprise, no, we are not. Because we have GTA Lover, GTA Defender, GTA Tree Hugger, Raphael Michael, who's
Wait a minute!
not
Don't just stick pejoratives in there. GTA
I was gonna say like he's a fucking connoisseur of those games.
connoisseur.
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
connoisseur.
Aficionado.
Drinking,
exactly.
drinking the Kool-Aid. Raphael Michael.
Pejorative.
No.
He unfortunately can't be on this week, so we're not gonna talk about GTA 6, but we will. He said he'll be here next week. I'm holding him to it. We will talk about it next week because I think a lot of us do have a lot to say, and it is interesting of what has happened. Unfortunate, but like interesting in regards to like what people are seeing in regards to video game development and what it looks like to actually develop video games, and people go crazy about it, being like, "How does it look like this?" It's how we make games, guys. Anyway, moving on, we're going to talk about what we've been playing because we haven't done that in a while. We thought it would be kind of fun to talk about what we've been playing lately. So I'm going to let Berghoff go first because Berghoff really just wanted to talk about what he's playing because I know it would give Evan a little hug in his heart to know what Berghoff has been playing lately. So tell us what you've been playing, my friend.
Yeah, Evan's been watching my tweets. He knows what I've been playing.
Yeah,
for sure.
I heart and try to comment on every tweet I see.
For our listener only viewers, Evan just got really giddy right there when he was talking about what he was watching. Evan's.
Also, I've just realised it's the best time to talk about it because the one man who detests these games is not on the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
And he's no longer obligated to say that they're amazing. They're amazing.
Exactly.
What's the quote?
Ever.
What's the quote? They're amazing something of video games. Wow,
they're a wonderful series of video games.
That's what it is.
That.
They're a wonderful series of video games. See, this is why we have you on the show, Berghoff. You are the history maker. Anyways, tell us what you've been playing.
I've been playing Yakuza, both Kiwami and Kiwami 2. So a while back I finished 0 after 100 hours that I put into that fucking game. And
how long did it take you to do 0? Because I know that was the game that you played that you were a bit on and off with.
Right. So it took me, I think, 60 hours to actually finish the game. That's what my save file says is like 60 hours.
Like over the course of how many months?
It was almost 3 years.
Okay.
Before I finished it, dude. It's like just kept going back to it, and I'm like, whatever. So anyway, they added it. So they had it on Game Pass. They got rid of it. They added it back to Game Pass. And when they added 0 back to Game Pass, they also added Kiwami and Kiwami 2. So now you can once again play the entire series on Game Pass. And I was like, all right, fucking, I'm going to power through. So I powered through 0. And then I recently finally got to the end of Kiwami. I took some time off from work and had a few days. So I must have dumped at least 15 hours into Kiwami. While I was off, and then I have another 8 or 9 hours into Kiwami 2. And
I do have to ask you a question. First, Swanland says that definitely explains Evan's giddiness. Yakuza. Yes. I do have to ask you a question because I have played these games as well. And I know we can't ask Evan this question because you say, I love all my children. I love them all. And
which do I like the best out of all of them that I've played so far?
I didn't ask the question. You just interrupted me and assumed you knew the freaking question. Way to be that man. Just like you are a history connoisseur, but you are not a host, my friend.
Just I don't want to take your thunder from you. I thought I knew where you were going with it. Let's see.
Well,
what's your question?
Kinda. I was going to give my 2 cents in it too, so you kind of understood where I was coming from and see if we are the same kind of people, or you not my people, and I need to be mad at you because you don't agree with me. That's just how the show works, right? So, I did not. I played 0.
Right.
I did not like 0, but
at all.
I do not like 0 at all. But
all right.
I absolutely love Kiwami 1 and 2.
Okay.
What is your thought? Are you agreement with that statement, or do you disagree with that statement?
So, Kiwami 2 thus far is my favorite.
Oh, wait until you get to the end, my friend. Just saying.
It's the most refined. Like everything so far is just the most refined out of all of the games. At least the first two that I played. And everybody says start with Zero. I think Zero is just too long.
Agreed.
So Zero should be just Majima's story. That's my opinion. If it was just Majima, because he has the most interesting character arc to get to the first game or the first story in Kiwami, that it's almost a shame that you have to power through Kiryu's story, because who he is doesn't really happen until Kiwami. And even that story, like, I don't know, there's some good twists and turns. I love the bad guys and whatever, but like 2 is already starting off with they finally know what the series is and what the story is, you know, like what we need to do to craft the story to make it the best that it can be. So far they've already dumped all that stuff and like, all right, here you go. And if you were to only play one Yakuza game, Kiwami 2 gives you all of number 1's story very condensed in like a 15-minute package, and then immediately shoots you into 2, where you get sort of the best of all worlds.
I would agree with you. Kiwami 2 is the best of them, of the 3 we're speaking of.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I would push back upon is maybe 2 is amazing because 1 has such a great foundation. A story of 1 is not as great, but it does set a really good foundation that 2 builds upon, that makes 2 be able to shoot for the stars. I disagree with you about 0. I think Majima's story is the least interesting. I actually don't like either story at all. I am not a fan of I'm just not a fan of 0 in general. I think you don't even have to play it. You could go without. I think it's a useless use of making this game. And this comes from a person that likes all the other Yakuza games. I for some reason do not like 0, and I think it is a waste of time that a person does not need to play this to really get anything out of it. And I personally, and maybe it's just because I personally don't like Majima. I mean, Majima-san is like the character I see they do well, they write him well, all that kind of stuff. But to me, I just don't like Majima-san. He's just too out there for me. So like
he fucking loses his mind. He's not out there. Like he went through some traumatic shit.
I get it, but
that's how he gets to the point where he's at. Like
it still just doesn't click for me, especially once you get once you get later in the games where Majima-san's story kind of grows more, and I don't want to spoil it. Let's just say he kind of grows up a little more or deals with his shit better. And so he's asked. Are you
talking about 3 and 4?
Yeah, he's kind of asked more to take more leadership, and it doesn't come off enough for me that it works. So I guess knowing how Majima-san's story moves forward without playing 0 starting, I guess for me 0 just doesn't work because I came into it so late. Maybe 0 would work if you started at 0 and then went all the way up the ladder, but if you're going up the ladder and going back down to 0, it just didn't work for me.
All right, what about the Millennium Tower? Because that's a huge, like that's where every fucking main battle at the end of every game takes place. So
what about the tower?
Well, so 0 is the story of like how that plot of land, the whole thing focuses around this one little piece of property, which will become the Millennium Tower.
I mean, that's every game. It's all about whoever controls real estate, Sorry.
But whoever controls that piece of property, which is the story of what happens with that, like 0 is the story of what happens with that. That is that is what becomes the Millennium Tower, which in and of itself is kind of a character in the games.
Basically, the Ryuga Gotoku series is a series about real estate and power.
Yes, that literally is. It's like I want this real estate. I need to kill this gang to get it. Sounds good to me. This team betrayed this team so they could get this real estate. Sounds good to me. I guess when you play the rest of the stories, it's not as significant as it is as like the Millennium Tower. I thought it was. Good. I guess I'm sorry. You need to. Jesus, because you haven't played the other games. It's hard to like your basic knowledge of Yakuza in regards to like importance of things is actually because like later in the games, the Millennium Tower isn't as important comparative to.
Well, all right. So
as it is in the first 2 games, it's a very important location, but it becomes almost a back burner throughout the rest of the games.
So I'm looking at them in terms of like, I kind of see 0, Kiwami, and Kiwami 2 as like the first trilogy. And then and then like 3, 4, 5 is like the next trilogy, and then like 6 is just kind of a capper. It's just it's Kiryu's final story type of thing.
I think that's pretty accurate. I would say you might even say 5 and 6 are together in a way, but that's a little
based on what I know
down the line. But
based on what I know about the overall story without having delved like deep into spoilers, that's the way that I see it.
I see where you're going with it. For me, 0 just never worked for me, so I wouldn't even call them a trilogy. Even though I get they connect, it's not a good trilogy. I just would say 1 and 2. 0 is a prequel, a prologue. If you want to play it, you don't have to.
Right. So my biggest complaint with 0 is just the length. I think it's way too fucking long as an intro game. If it's a game that you're trying to get people, and most Yakuza fans will recommend, play 0 first because it's the beginning of the story. If it were a 20-hour experience instead of a 60-hour experience, I think it would work much better. And there's a lot of stuff that you can cut out of this story that's just not necessary. Well, even if you were to keep both stories.
I think when I tackled my adventure, I think I talked to Evan about it for a minute, being like, "Hey, I could either do 0 or," because I had to buy it, and I was like, "Okay, which one do I buy? Do I buy Kiwami or do I buy 0?" And I think we chatted on Discord for a little bit about this, Evan. I know we did, because I was like, which one do I buy? This was like a long time ago. This was like 5-6 years ago. And I do remember you're just like, if you want Yakuza for like what you're going to get out of the experience, play Kiwami. If you want the beginning of the story, though, but it's not going to be as important going later, like it's not extremely important that you have to play this, you play 0. But he's basically, in a nutshell, you told me go with Kiwami, and I'm happy you told me to do that, because I feel as if I went with 0 first, I might have been a little like caught off guard, because also 0 and Kiwami are very different games too.
I feel like they're closer than Kiwami and Kiwami 2.
Well, totally, because
the fight,
it
the combat
gives you
system.
Context to. That's true. It also gives you context to Nishikiyama and Kiryu's relationship and how that finishes off at the end of Kiwami, which is very important. But to what Burkhoff and Mitch are saying too is, I think the reason I said that, Mitch, was also like Burkhoff was saying, 0 is about Majima and who he becomes, but the Ryuga Gotoku series is about Kiryu. So if you're more interested in that, then you start with Kiwami and you go from Kiwami to 6. If you want context or a little bit of history into how Majima became who he is, then I guess you play 0. Yeah, I mean, I took a weird... I played... My first game was 4.
Right.
And I beat 5 before I beat 4 because I played the first game on hard, which is a huge mistake because these games are so fucking cheap when it comes to bad guys.
Normal is normal. There are certain things that they want to teach you. It's like a lot of Japanese games. There are certain things that you learn early on if you allow yourself to fail. That normal is the way it's supposed to be played. Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
So I went 4, 5, 6, and then 0, 1, 2, 3, which is a very weird way to do it. But, okay, so one final question for you.
Hold on 1 second, Evan. You're really cutting out, so I'm going to give you a second to load. I thought it was me. I thought it was my internet for a minute. I was getting very scared for a minute, being like, "Oh shoot, are we losing the stream?" So I'm gonna keep giving Evan a minute, because I'll let you know, Evan, when I think your internet looks good, because you're completely frozen now. So
just shifted to do
his face went to total like, oh my god, what the F happened? But I will. I'll admit I have not yet finished the series. It's on my list to do. Like seriously, I'm on because what happens in, I think it is 4, and I think Evan's internet's back, so Evan can also correct me before he gets back to his statement that he was doing before.
No,
But,
you're right. I was my internet was bad for a second there. Sorry.
You're
Go
good.
ahead,
No,
Mitch.
but I
So
was gonna say 4. I believe switches between 3 characters, or was that 5 that did that?
5. It's 5, and there's 5 different characters, if I'm not mistaken. Right, or 4?
5 has the most characters.
Which one switches between the investigator? That's 5, correct? The new main character, basically. Is that 5 or 4? I swear that's 4.
It's 5 from what I remember watching in retrospectives and stuff.
Now I have to Google.
5 has the most characters, so I'm guessing that's who you're referring to.
Yeah,
There's a guy who's he's like he's a detective infiltrating like the triads.
Yeah. You play a detective.
believe.
You play like a press agent. You play.
Yes. Okay. Yes. 5. So I'm at 5 right now. I have not gone past 5. Just because it's such
Which is also a very long game.
Yeah, and it's such a drastic change. It's been very difficult to get past 5. Oh yeah, okay. I remember what 4 was about. 4 was about the prisoner. Gotcha. Okay.
Right.
Had to refresh my memory for a minute about what all the stories were, but they're good.
Sorry. Bad timing with my question and my internet. Was my final question, Burkhoff, was the fighting systems, because you did comment on how Kiwami. So can you just take me through your process of maybe learning how the fighting system and changing like from brawler to the fast system in Dragon works versus the more streamlined version with Kiwami 2?
Yeah, so 0 has you level up everything, and you are locked out of the final combat system for each character, both Majima and Kiryu, unless you complete their ultimate side quest, I guess. Like
very extensive. They have their own complete story arc.
Yeah, like the real estate shit takes at least 10 hours by itself. And so I think Cabaret Club Czar probably is the same thing. It's at least 10-hour investment, which I never did. I never unlocked Dragon in 0 because I couldn't sit through it. I got very, very close, but I was like, I just need to power through, and I need to beat this shit. Kiwami is the exact same fighting system, except for they tried to keep some of the stuff that was in the original PlayStation 2 game in terms of the way that you level up stuff. So you retain the dragon style from 0, but in order to level it up, you have to spend an enormous amount of time fighting Majima with the Majima Everywhere system, which replaces the what the hell is this, Mr. Shakedown? Yeah.
What a great name, by the way.
Takedown, love it.
But all right,
Shake.
despite those differences, like Kiwami and 0 are basically the same fighting system, and they are in the same engine. They feel almost exactly the same. It's almost as if you're playing the same game, just with a different story, and they've slightly changed the map.
Mm-hmm.
But when you jump into Kiwami 2, it's like, oh shit, this is a very different game from the previous 2 that I just played. Because it's based on 6's Dragon Engine. And the fighting is much more technical. You do have to worry about positioning. You do have to worry about locking onto specific enemies, and you do have to worry about blocking, which is a dramatic change. And I think that
And physics as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. So I
bit.
think that 0 and Kiwami is much more arcadey. Kiwami 2 is more like a fighting game. It's more technical.
Okay.
And I like that a lot more, personally.
I do have one
All right.
final oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I just want to primer you. 3 is the worst in the series, so you're gonna have
I already know
Whiplash
that.
going
It's-
back to like the stiff, very arcadey version of that fighting. unfortunately.
Yeah, it's the oldest game in the series, at least in terms of like the modern releases, right?
Yeah, because
Yep, there was no
released-
Kiwami
'cause-
version of it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's literally releasing. I think that's the PS3 version of it.
Yeah, it was the first PS3 game. Yeah,
basically.
So,
Final question for you: what is like my personal favorite mini game of the entire series so far? Since I'm still going through 5, which actually now in this conversation it makes me want to go download 5 on my PS5, transfer my save, and try to get that thing done. Because I'm so close to finishing. I should just finish. Especially because Like a Dragon, I haven't played that one. But anyway, my favorite mini game was, I think it's Kiwami 2. It is the club sim where you get to pick
Cabaret Club.
the cabaret club, where you get to pick the ladies, and like you have to dress them up a certain way for the men, and like, you have to place them in certain positions, and then it's like he's raining money and he's like dancing around. But yes, that was my favorite mini game so far. Which one's yours?
Mine is probably between that and the I don't know what it's called in Zero. In Kiwami, it's Mesu King. In Zero, it's something else.
Just explain what the
it's
mini game is.
It's basically rock paper scissors, but it's attractive women that come out and they fight each other, and so you have to pick rock paper scissors and then like whatever. Yeah.
Oh, it's betting. It's chick,
in
chick
yeah. So
fighting.
in zero you bet on it, and you also try to pick the rock paper scissors to beat it. In Kiwami, it's a card collecting game where depending on what cards you have changes the power of the attack.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will admit I tried to learn Mahjong playing Yakuza, and that's very difficult. Anyway, moving on. Now we know what Burkhoff has been playing.
Good fun.
Dan, what have you been playing?
Like always, quite a few different things actually, which annoys Evan, no doubt, and I think
That's fine.
what's his name?
He's not okay with it.
Yeah.
No, dude, I like the game that I've been playing is like it's not that important, so I'm fine to go last. So like if we have a little time, I'll squeeze mine in. Totally fine with that.
No,
Yeah,
Enough time for everyone. Don't worry.
So I've been playing. I'm still playing through 2 Point Campus.
Oh,
playing
that's
that
why
for-
you thought I was gonna get annoyed. Okay, yeah, fuck this.
I'm sorry.
just
I'm sorry.
kidding.
I oh my gosh. How can you still play that? I can't. I only got 2 hours in 2 Point Hospital before it became a repeated mess, and I just was like, I can't do this. It's the same thing over and over again.
Dan sees through the matrix. He sees the whole. He's playing 4D chess basically.
Exactly. So I'm playing that. I've just my favourite level of all of them so far is the night one. Seeing like joust outside is quite fun. The sporting mechanics a bit crap. I mean, I think if you watch Sifted, we're talking about it, but I thought like that could have been a bit more like thought out. They kind of like cheaped on that. They're like, oh yeah, you can have like college sports, but it was a bit of a crap kind of usage of that. I think they could have gone a bit harder on that one, but obviously because of the remits of the game, it was always going to be a bit narrowed. If you like 2 Point Hospital, you're going to like this game. I mean, I'm kind of sad. I like the hospital aspect of it. It's a bit weird, kind of negotiating a college campus. However, I do like being able to expel people. That's good fun.
Yeah. Oh man.
Even their grades down, I'm like,
You can expel kids?
Yeah.
Fuck man, I might play this game. It's like my dream.
it's kind of
Let's
like
get all his
it's like my
aggression
day
at the end of
job,
the
but
day.
at university level. So maybe that's why I like it.
You know
I
what?
like go-
let
I
me
go
let me
hard
let
on,
me
like-
look some videos up.
I go hard on like the science characters, even to the point where I broke, I think, the second level because I didn't follow any of the like. Oh, you should level up this course. I was like, no, we're going hard into like science.
That's great.
So to advance, I was like, I should really restart because I wasn't hitting any of the star points. I was just like going. I had like this robust science program going.
Of course, both of the teachers would be the ones that like doing a 2 Point Campus.
Yeah. So I did that. But actually, that was actually on Xbox. But then on my PlayStation 5, I've actually kind of pivoted and now moved away. I haven't really used my Xbox at all since I've got my bigger memory card or storage card on the PlayStation. I have been playing mostly everything on that, and I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla because I never played it back when it came out. I'm about 12 hours in. Am I going to carry on playing it? Probably not. I kind of feel like I've done everything I need to do with that game. I mean, like, it's just like you've got all the assassins, all the people again that have got to go the tree, they've got to kill everyone, and I feel like I did that with Odyssey, and I don't really want to do it again.
Right.
I was really pissed off how bad the places were in the UK were. Like Lincoln is a load of rubbish. That's not what it would be like at all, historically. So like just stuff like that. They compared to like that other not modern day, but how they've like done cities in the past. It was quite a shoddy job in my opinion of the UK. And then leveling up the little homestead is cool, but again, it kind of like was it 4 when that first became a thing? I think it was
Brotherhood.
4, when you could do it in
Oh no,
New
sorry,
England.
sorry, 2. You could do it in 2.
You did 2, but
yes,
I think
you could.
4 was what
You could,
yeah, you could have done. But I'm thinking about 4. You know, in New England, you had your little homestead there. Like obviously, it's a bigger version of
4
that.
would have been Black Flag.
Actually,
I think.
Are you talking
Yeah, I think
about
that was
it's
one
3.
before. It was the one before Black Flag. It was the Revolution one. where you
Oh,
had a little
3,
homestead
that's
with your
3.
house and you could, like,
3.
Three,
Yeah.
three,
that's
not
3.
4. 3, sorry, 3. But it's all very like microtransaction-y. Like nothing I'm doing to
Right.
level up my things. Like you can now have a fun coloured flag on your ship. I don't want that. I want to be able to have a dockyard so I can build lots of ships. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's just very like, why am I doing this? And I'm sure Rafa would completely disagree with me. But I'm glad I didn't pay for this game, and I'm glad I played it for free because I've enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, but I think I'm still from playing Odyssey. I think I'm still kind of that. I played a lot of that game. I put about 100 hours into that game, so I think I'm still not been long enough to like go back to it because I was like, I think it's been long enough. And about 12 hours into this game, I'm like, I'm kind of doing the same things again. And the location, in like theory, should have been really interesting, but actually it's a bit blur compared to like other games, compared to Athens and the Acropolis and all that kind of stuff. It's a bit dull, and I feel like they kind of didn't make the most of Viking Britain, in my opinion.
Dan,
Swanland,
have you-
hold on. Swanland speaks
Go ahead.
into the chat saying it's hard to keep track of Assassin's Creed 2 games straight since there are 2 sequels that 2 are not numbered. And I disagree with you, sir. It is easy to keep them because Brotherhood is one of the best games that the Assassin's Creed have ever made, which is. And then Revelations is also one of the easiest ones to keep track of because it's the one that has both characters in it from the first 2 freaking games. Anyway, back to Evan's question. I totally disagree with you, Swanland. Those are the 2 that are easy. It's all the other ones after that with just the names like Syndicate and Unity.
Defend the fact that I got it wrong.
I know, but it's the one like Unity. Unity I always forget about, or Syndicate I always forget about. The ones that they now name and don't actually put numbers behind them are the ones I forget about now. Evan, what was your question?
Oh, Swanland, answer back. Let's have a chat battle. What was I going to say? Oh, Dan, did you finish
Odyssey?
Odyssey? Did you play Origins or any
play-
of the previous games
play Origins.
before they changed the system?
I didn't play Origins. I played Odyssey.
Did you finish Odyssey?
Yeah, I think I did. Maybe I didn't. But I put 100 hours into it, so I think I finished
Origins was the,
like it.
the change.
It was
in
a
the
big
system.
game. I mean, I loved the one thing about Odyssey is I just felt everywhere I went in Odyssey there was something cool to find. So far with Valhalla, everywhere I go, I'm like, it's a hill with a bit of wood, and like it's just like it's not interesting. And maybe that's an indictment on the UK. But however, we have a really rich history. I find that hard to believe. And the fact they can't even get Lincoln correct, where Lincoln's on a big ass hill and everything below it is like flat. Like, come on, it wouldn't have taken that hard to like geographically map it properly. In this,
Well, usually they pride themselves on like
Yeah.
historical
that's
accuracy and all
why I
that
was-
type of stuff. So that's
that-
interesting.
That's why I was really irritated by it. I think
Yeah.
I was probably irritated more because as I was excited. I don't know if you remember. I think it was you guys were on when it was announced, because I think we watched it, we talked about it, and I was so excited because I think McWomble said, "Are you excited to go to Lincoln?" And I was excited, and it's just bitterly disappointing.
Swan then answers back
yeah.
saying the last one I played was Origins, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I played a tiny bit of Origins. I only played a tiny bit because when I played the first 3 minutes of Origins, I fell off the entire world just by walking. It was great.
Big bug in
And
Origins.
then I was like, oh, is this? And this was a year or two after the game already came out. A similar my Origins experience was like my Witcher 3 experience. Was like, how did this game get so critically acclaimed? Because I can barely play it. It's so buggy.
No.
And then Odyssey was
Now-
the one after Origins. I haven't played that more than 4 or so hours. Odyssey
That's me.
myself. Oh, Berghoff, sorry.
Yeah, that's me. That's me coming back.
And
I was a
and
bigger
then
fan of
I,
Immortals because it was smaller and simpler, and it was Greek-inspired Breath of the Wild type.
Oh yeah, Mortals Phoenix
I haven't
Rising.
played that yet, but that is now free. I think on something. Is
That's
that
on Game
PlayStation
Pass.
X?
I have it
Game Pass.
downloaded. Yeah.
I think I need to play that because I did like the Athens thing. I
It's-
just felt like it was
yeah.
just not very. It was not as historical as I was hoping it to be. It is, but you know what I mean. I just felt like the landscape was a bit blur.
I guess
which is
I guess
disappointing.
my question to you, Dan, will be now moving on is like from like the Assassin's Creed stuff is like, is the historical accuracy the only thing that the games have going for it? If they're not going to be historically accurate, are they even worth playing anymore?
I think there's other games that gameplay wise are better. So probably, I think in my opinion, probably not actually. I am, however, excited about the Jade one. It's not Jade, that's wrong. Red. Because Jade's in
Red.
Japan. Red. But I'm not really that. He was a little cool, reasonably cool character. The guy Mirage, who you meet in Valhalla, he seemed quite cool. I think I'm going to see how that game is. If it's like just set in like 1 or 2 cities, it might be worth like jumping back into a game that's a bit smaller. I think what it comes down to, Mitch, I thought I put 100 hours into Odyssey, but everywhere I went there, I was like, oh, amazing. It was like very like visual and like beautiful to look at, and it was interesting. Really, I didn't really start to like lag on that until 80, 90 hours. This game, I'm already feeling like that after 12. So I think I'm kind of ready for a game that isn't like this ginormous thing if it's not going to be pretty and like historically accurate. That's what I would say.
I would agree.
So-
I would kind of agree with you. I think the one thing that's getting stale with me is their combat system. You know,
Yes,
like
I would agree.
unfortunately, for some reason, I'm like, go back to the first combat system because they're both a problem. I think they really need to like really look at this combat system and really rethink it, especially if they're gonna go to Jade. I mean, not Jade. I'm sorry, Red. Jesus, you got me saying Jade now. Stop it. But if they're gonna go to Red, everyone's gonna be comparing that to Ghost of Tsushima, which that combat is super tight and it really feels good to play. And if you're gonna go to a feudal Japan area with a samurai freaking sword, it's got to be great combat. And if it's going to be the same combat that we have gotten in the last 3 games, the difference. I get the complaint people were having in the original one. It's like, oh, it's just a counter system. You just stand there and wait to counterattack. But I would argue and say that I would prefer the combat system of 3, which is the similar one where you kind of attack, but then you do a counter system. It felt very much... it wasn't as tight as something like the Batman Arkham games, but it was getting there. And it was definitely heading in a direction I liked. Whereas in this version, it's just like mash the attack button as much as possible and then roll and then mash the attack button. And there's like, it seems like the combat doesn't feel tight. It's way more loose now. It's like before it was sometimes too tight that it just wasn't, it felt disjointed for how tight it was. Whereas like,
You know what, mate?
it's not now it's too loose and it feels like it's unrealistic.
I missed the assassin part of the game.
That too.
That's what I would say.
I agree.
Like, I feel like I'm hoping that in the Japan one, it goes back to more of a ninja type kind of thing. I know, but you know
Like
what I mean?
Tenchu.
As in like assassin type level of things, because I think that's what's missing. I'm playing this game, but I don't feel like an assassin. I'm just like a warrior.
Yes.
And I don't play Assassin's Creed games to be a warrior. I play Assassin's Creed game to be able to find, and you could find the stealth option, but it's very much easier for all of a sudden go, oh no, you've got all these 5 guys you've got to fight. But it doesn't feel, it's not like Ghost of Tsushima. It's not feel like it's built to do that, but it doesn't offer you enough opportunities to stealth kill as much as it used to.
No, I agree with you 100%, and I also say for the people that counteract and say, oh, but you can upgrade that, and that's an upgrade you have to earn. It's like, well, if I'm an assassin, I should be able to assassinate someone, and I should be rewarded for assassinating someone without getting caught. That's what the whole point of it being an assassin is. You kill someone and not get caught. So, like, if you're going to upgrade stealth things, how about upgrade finding ways of not getting caught when you assassinate somebody? Maybe it's like when you assassinate them and you're in grass, you automatically place their body in grass so that the enemy doesn't see you, and that's an upgrade you can buy. That's a way of upgrading the stealth without taking away of the satisfaction of saying, I took the time to get in a position to stab this person, to kill this person so no one else could see it. But when you go into Origins or you go into Odyssey, and I've heard the same complaints in Valhalla, which is as soon as you go to assassinate somebody, if they're a certain level, you can't fully assassinate them and you only take partial of the health, and then they call everybody else. And that's really annoying because it should not matter how big and strong the other person is. If you took the time to get there and assassinate them, you should be rewarded as the player. It's almost like taking away candy from doing a good job. Like, it's just not, it's not rewardable gameplay for the player. So I agree with you 100% on that. And actually, I wish that was married with bringing back the Assassin's 3 combat and being a little more. I bet they could do a little more Batman-y, Arkham-y style with the combat and be really satisfying. But where it is right now, it's just it's a hack and slash jumbled mess in combat that it's not fun.
Does Valhalla still have the level gating that Origins did?
Yeah.
Where you have
I walked into Lincoln because I wanted to check it out, and it's like very, very high level. Like, so you need to like level up the gear.
I hated that. Yeah.
You can purchase this gear on our store, so that you don't. It's just like, no, go away. I don't want microtransactions. Thanks very much. But I went and checked it out anyway. It was frustrating. But anyway, so I've moved on from that game. So now there's my 2 games, and now I've also since then played Returnal.
Oh, Hart, hold on. Before you get to that one, because actually I played that one. So we'll talk. We can talk about it together. It's on my list.
Then. Okay, that's fine. But also, what I'm playing.
Hold on, before you get, one thing about Assassin's Creed I did want to say is, unfortunately, probably we're going to keep getting that level gating and the microtransaction, especially if they're making this magic hub.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's probably not going to change.
Point.
And also now they're going to mobile.
Yep.
You know, like with their Jade game, it's going to be like microtransaction heavy.
And then
So then I'm also playing. Just started. Last night I did my first 2 loops of Deathloop.
Oh God.
I did my first 2 Deathloop loops. It's all right. It feels like an Arcane game. Is it Arcane they made it? No, Arcane. No,
so Arcane.
It's Arcane.
Yeah.
One of the best in the business.
I will tell you, Dan. I'm not going to. I won't spoil it. But I learned about the plot twist, the ending of the game.
Yeah, it's not good.
and it definitely makes me not want to play the game because of how awkward it is.
Okay, so basically, from what I gather so far, it feels like there's some kind of weird romantic connection going with me and the baddie girl because of like the sarcasm and like the way she's like, well, of course we know each other, and it's like this like weird humor which isn't really funny that they're trying to roll with, and it does seem like they're like overly connected in this like loop, and like I feel like when they showed this, and I could be wrong, and this could have been the plan all along, but for me it seems like from the game they originally showed to what they released, they've kind of put this weird comedic spin on it and made it a lot more arcadey than it was originally supposed to be. And that could be completely wrong, because obviously I'd never saw a pre-build, but just from the first trailer. But it just seemed like, so far I have two good playthroughs through. It's a bit of fun. Am I going to complete this game? Probably not. I'll have a few more goes through and see how I get on with it. And then, last but not least, I played, because I never played the demo of Final Fantasy VII Remake, So I booted that up about 4 nights ago and played the opening sequence of that, I believe, up until the end of when the bomb explodes in that first boss fight. And I loved everything they've done with it. I love the stop-start, turn-based stuff.
Damn it, you had to wait for Berghoff to walk away to say this? Like, he needs to hear this.
Oh, okay, I understand. Yeah, and actually, for someone who loves turn-based RPGs, I was a bit like on the fence with it, but I didn't change the settings because you can change them and make it. And I was like, no, I'm going to play it how it's supposed to be played, and I will definitely be probably playing this through to completion. So out of all the games I've played, that's probably the only one I probably will play through to completion, because just from the first level I've played. And I'll say again to Matt if he wants to hear.
Oh no, you're going to tell him. You're going to tell him, and he's going to freaking listen to you.
So I've also been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, I got back just in time.
He already told the whole thing, and I said he has to tell you this.
Again. But what I'll say is, for someone who loves turn-based strategy game and RPGs,
yes,
I think they really have done a good thing of balancing it between fast action and turn-based. And I think for an evolution, it's quite a good evolution.
I love the words that came out of his mouth. Damn it.
So I think
it's on sale right now.
Love the demo. I think it's worth playing the first level, because that's what I've done, and I've really enjoyed it. I think it's worth doing that, and if you hate it, don't play anymore. That's my advice to you.
Well, all right. So if I buy it on Steam, I get 2 hours before I can return it.
Yeah, and that's what you need to finish that first.
Because I played the demo though, and I didn't like the demo. And
you didn't like it?
I feel like the demo was about an hour or two.
Yeah, do you not like the demo?
Well, the demo is the first level. It's not probably going to change your mind.
Same bit.
So, all right, but if I have to get past that, what didn't I like about it?
Yeah.
I didn't like that it's very much trying to shoehorn an action combat into. It's just a weird compromise. It doesn't feel right. I don't mind action combat if it's one character, but
the multiple character thing.
Final Fantasy VII, very much wants you to shift perspectives and change characters.
When you play on PC, did you play it with the controller or did you play it with the keyboard?
I played it on my PS4. Yeah.
Oh, you play it on PS4? Because I was gonna say I wondered what that would be like. Yeah, to be fair, it took me a while to get used to that, but actually, for me, it was like I still kind of had my turn-based kind of feeling towards it, especially when you were in the selection screens. If I had to not have it turn-based, for me I would have rather that than full action. So that's kind of where I am now with it. But I mean, everyone's different.
To answer Swanland's question, can you upgrade the PS4 version to integrate at all? You can upgrade it to the PS5 version.
Right, you can't play integrated on PlayStation 4.
But you cannot play it on PS4. I believe you can upgrade your version from the PS4 to the PS5 and pay a difference. Right. Or if you have gotten a PS Plus, you can get the upgrade for free on your PS Plus account. Or what I did, which is I upgraded my membership from the basic to the second tier. I think it's essential to extra. And that includes Integrate, so then I get the free upgrade that way on my PS5.
What I would say is, what's happening with my download is I'm going to have to uninstall it and reinstall the integrated version, because I think I already installed the original version, so the game doesn't recognize that I have integrated, but when I go through and it says purchase the, what's it called, campaign, the extra one, it says I own it. So there's definitely an issue with the download there, but I'm not that worried at this stage.
If you only have the PS4 version from PS Plus, if you get a first you have to have a PS5.
Yeah.
Right. And if you have a PS5, I believe you should be able to upgrade it. I'd have to look into
I've upgraded it.
I'm not for certain.
I've upgraded it. It's just the download. I downloaded the wrong version, I think.
And also McWomble has pointed out, okay, you have the PS5. I would double check, but what actually I would just recommend in general, we'll get to it in a second for you because this is really fascinating. But I do want to answer McWomble's question really quick, and then I'll get back to you, Swanland, I promise. Evan's not wearing a vest. Matt's not wearing a vest. It's officially the worst show on Twitch. Anyway, Swanland,
we're trying to compete with Amaranth.
I'm sorry. We don't have bikinis on. But Swanland, what I would recommend to you, which is probably the next game we're going to hop to anyway, because it's a game I've been playing as well, which is I recommend upping your subscription for PS Plus from the Essential to the Extra, because you're paying about $30 to I think it's $40 more.
Says the guy draped in Sony
and when
clothing.
I only got a hat on. I'm wearing not wearing a
you're
Sony shirt.
the water
But what I'm
bottle.
trying to say is,
Evan, we can't hear you.
But what I'm trying to say is, oh, you have premium. Then don't worry about it. You can upgrade for free, because Integrate is included in your extra in your extra subscription. Not only you get that, you can get the Ghost of Tsushima upgrade for free because the director's cut is on there. You can get a Returnal, which is what we're about to talk on there too. Like, you can get all those PS5 games from, like, Miles Morales is on there. You can get the upgrade for that game. You get the Spider-Man upgrade. You get that on the PS5. Like, that is a one, if you have not played any PS5 games, that is the subscription you want to apply to. And for $40 more from your regular one, it is well worth the cost, because you're also getting tons of more games. Valhalla's on there if you want to play Valhalla. There's just tons of games. But anyway, I'm not trying to advertise for Sony. I'm just saying it's a great deal comparative to Game Pass. There's a lot of games.
If you're under a current 12-month subscription, depending how much longer you've got left,
it's a discount.
They reduce. Yeah, they reduce it for the amount. So mine was only £6 or £7.
Yep. So like I paid for the higher subscription tier. I only paid like $5, and I got it for an extra 30 days, and I could download like PS1 games, and I did that for a whole month, and that was super cool. But anyway, let's talk about Returnal. We both have been playing Returnal. What do you? I think it's okay. I think it's well. I think it's a well-made. I think it's a well-made game. Discount is why you upgraded. Great choice. I think it's a well-made game. There's just something and it plays well. It plays really well. There's just something about. There's just something that doesn't. Okay. For our listeners, Evan went ahead and put on a vest just for McWomble, because McWomble requested it in the chat. So now I assume Burkoff is going to have to go take care of that. And Evan's giving you kisses, blowing you kisses.
I'm gonna stay in my Mario shirt.
Time to re-up that subscription. Just kidding. Okay, what are we doing? Okay.
Dan might put on a vest though. He'll take my place.
Oh no. McWomble requested Burkoff with the vest, not you, Dan. You're ruining his day.
Too late.
Oh, too
Dan's
late.
taking my place.
Anyways, Returnal. I think it's a well. Okay. All right, we got two vests. Okay.
But Evan's mic is still not working.
I can't hear him.
McWomble, I hope you're happy.
Sorry, it was mute.
Oh my God.
It was muted. Okay. Jesus.
Okay, return.
That's like full minute you've been talking and like
Nothing was coming out. But anyway, I think
the video viewers
I
will
think
have
it's
something to watch.
I think it's really refined. It does seem as if they improved it since launch, because I think what I've been hearing, it wasn't this smooth. Frame rate's really smooth. It plays well, and I do like some of the gameplay. It's not as inspiring as other games. I don't know. There's just something that's not connecting with me, and I like the plot is okay. Maybe it's just the setting is not that interesting. I don't know. There's just something that's off for me, and I just can't figure out what it is. It may be. Oh, actually, I think I know what it is. There's a lot of stuff in this game. There's a lot, and they just throw text at you. That's all they do to explain their stuff. And it can be very confusing. And for a person like me, that there's only so much text my brain can like digest things. I'm also a very visual person too. And I'm more of a visual and auditory person than I am reading things. And so for me, it just is not the way I want to digest my game. And so it's taking more time for me to really get into it. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I definitely will go back and maybe try it more, but it's not one I'm like itching to go play. All
right, so I have a question for both of you.
Well, let's hear Dan's thoughts, and then we'll get to your question.
For 100%. Me, I'm enjoying it, but I kind of get you. It's kind of the settings a bit blur. and it's not as intense as like a Doom.
Oh, sorry. I should
feel like it's
clarify.
kind of-
I haven't beat the first boss. I got into the first boss. I almost beat him my first try.
Yeah,
So I'm only
I
in
haven't
one.
beaten it.
I know the first section is the first zone. I'm only in the first zone, so that's the only environment I've ever seen.
Yeah, me too.
To
Me
its
too.
credit.
I'm in the first too. It's not intense as intense as Doom in terms of like the individual skirmishes. I find the individual skirmishes a bit like blah, and especially with the whole like dying and coming back together again. Like I'm getting through, and then it's just like so. I've done maybe three deaths. I'm gonna say, and then my second death there was this suit machine thing, which I didn't realize what it was because I didn't read all the text. So like I was like, oh yeah, that may give me a suit. So I put things into that, and I was like, oh, it just revives me with all my gear. So you know what I mean. So I kind of get you with the whole like, there's a load of text that you have to read. That's not for me either, Mitch. I'm not that type of person. I'd much have heard like I don't know, even if they'd had like a voiceover on it, would have been nice.
It's
Kind of
almost like
explain
it's
all
almost
stuff.
like the opposite of like a Dark Souls, where Dark Souls and the Souls games don't explain anything. Like if you look into the data and the text, it'll tell you like very finite details of just what it does. Where this game over explains you with text.
Yeah,
And
it
it's like
does.
I need the
Yeah.
in between. I just need an in between.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think of it as a game that I would probably really enjoy to play with someone else on either the couch or online. I think actually I really want to try that co-op and interact. I'm trying to get Liam or even you, Mitch, maybe if you're with time difference, it's a bit of a problem. But just to kind of play it 2-player, I think it would be quite good fun with two of you because I feel like it's missing something.
I will.
And I don't know. I kind of feel you. There's missing something as to play by myself, so I'm not kind of going. Oh, I really need to jump back into that game.
I will.
But, jump in with a friend. Yeah, we'll give it a go.
I do have one more to add on that one too, but I got to read what Swanland and McWomble has said. They said that's why I stopped playing Death Stranding. Too much gameplay text for Swanland. I can understand that. I did get through that game because I think for me the story was way more interesting, so I was gonna power through. And then McWomble, that's why I stopped playing Yakuza 0. Too much text. That and the game story and the side missions are stupid, in my opinion.
Okay, I agree with you that there's way too much text and way too much explaining.
There's
In Zero,
absolutely
the side
just the amount
quests it's the best.
The
some of the best
sub-stories
side
are the-
quests in the history of video games.
I mean,
sub-stories
they're
are
so
the
good.
best
the
part.
fact that you have to like the fact you have to help man baby a person in a diaper, a total
Come
adult,
on.
is the craziest thing I've
I
ever
love-
seen. But then McWomble
There's-
also
I love the fact-
says the show has gone 50% better. All we need is some ASRM. Okay, well,
ASMR.
I mean ASMR. Sorry.
Yeah, the funny thing is though, Mitch, is McWomble wasn't here for the Yakuza talk. He's come in, dropped a bomb,
bringing it-
and then those
he's
two
brought
are
it
like,
up.
Has no
knows-
idea
he
that's
knows-
what we talked about for the last 20 minutes. He had no idea.
He totally does.
He totally does?
Dude,
yeah.
this guy's fucking lurking, man.
Yeah.
This
He
guy's
sees,
lurking.
he sees me on Twitter. He's like, this motherfucker. They're gonna be talking about what they played. All he's done is post goddamn Yakuza videos on his Twitter for the last 4 days.
Okay, last one from Swanland, and then I'll get to my last point on of our Returnal discussion.
Yeah.
Is the onboarding text? Oh, okay. Sorry, this is a question actually. Is the onboarding of the text?
Esoteric.
I don't know what that means. Like in world building, a Death Stranding, or Elden Ring, or just gameplay.
So
I don't
he's
know
saying,
what that word means.
He's saying esoteric. Like, is it woven into the environments, or is it something that's like just fucking blasted?
So basically it comes basically you have like
Do you have to discover it, or is it like force fed?
No, you discover it. It's a mixture of the
Discover
two.
Yeah.
There is when you die the first couple times, it introduces new elements when you reach there, but you have to reach them. Like they almost, the game anticipates you dying to get to there to reach it. Similar to like the soul like if I
Hades.
like I play Bloodborne, like an example of Bloodborne, you don't get your first weapons until you do your first death. And of course you're going to die because you have no weapons. And so that's the reason why they give you a weapon. So it's similar to that perspective. My last thing for Returnal, and maybe a reason why it's maybe a little more difficult to hop into, is a good example when you said Hades. Like, these are the same type of games. They're roguelites. These levels are much bigger, and so the runs are much longer. and they might just be a little too long for my
Too
taste.
long. I think I agree with you.
They
there.
have a lot of rooms, but
The porting system's quite good though.
Yes,
the beaming around that does make things a lot shorter.
But you do have to still, like, every time build out the entire floor before you can
yeah,
find
exactly.
the boss, and you have to get the key cards, and it's like, it is almost like it's too much. I almost wish there was like a halfway checkpoint. Like this one, probably I'd be okay with a checkpoint in between, or I find an item that gives me a checkpoint and you have to like pay so much for it, and I'd be totally fine with that. But it's just so much, and especially because like if you for some reason my power goes out and I have the game on rest mode in between a run, I lose the entire run. It's because of the run is so long, it makes it harder to be able to stop in between.
If you go to rest mode, it just resets your game run, which is irritating because every other PlayStation game it just beams you back to where you were playing. So that is slightly. I don't know why that's the case. You should be able to put it in rest mode and pause the game for a long period of time if you want to.
Yeah,
like because you haven't died. So I think that's a flaw in the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
Swanland says he means in secret, hidden. Basically, it's usually describe mystic, religious like. Kabbalah. Kinda. It is. It's so the premise is she's crashed on this planet. She doesn't know this planet, so she basically scans things and it gives them basic descriptions about it and what she thinks it would be useful for.
Yeah.
So it kind of does both. It's like you're learning as you scan items, and they kind of tell you what they do, but it's more of in a general sense, and you don't know the reason why it actually does it, though. It's not as descriptive. It's more of like, this is what I think it does, and it's what it does to you, but you don't know exactly why it does it to you. But there is a hidden mystery, like, as I've gone through the first floor, obviously because I reached the boss, I've seen, like, oh, they were religiously like worshiping these group of people, and so you are learning about what has been there before, and it is way more clear than a Souls game in regards to like about what the world is and like these characters,
what you need to do,
which I do like a lot, which I think is I wish Souls games did more of. Like I like how you could dig into the nitty gritty, but I feel like it's too much you dig into the nitty gritty that you actually don't know what the story is.
Yeah, and I think I quite like the premise. Like some of the flashback stuff is quite cool. Like the like hallucinations of your house and things. Obviously, that was in the gameplay trailers and stuff, so that's not giving anything away. Like it bits of it feel good, but I feel like it isn't. You're right, it's missing something. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head when you say that the levels are too long, and I probably would agree with you there. And I think actually, I would rather them be shorter and more horde mode-y in like the actual areas. Because some of them, it's like I from back from far with my gun, just boom, 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 hit 3 of those dog things in the head, and it's like, let's walk around. You know what I mean? Yeah. I never felt ever, apart from when I hit the boss, that I was like worried about my life. I don't know if you felt the same. I just felt like it wasn't as intense as like the atmosphere made it feel like it should be.
I probably disagree. I've had some intense battles where it's been pretty fierce. Not every scenario is intense.
Yeah.
Some of it is very basic, but I have ran into some very intense situations where I thought I was going to die. But so far I have not died unless I reach the boss.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's weird. This game is like one where it seems as if it's one I would like come and play in small chunks, but you really can't because of how long it is.
Let's do that.
So it's almost contradictory in itself of how you want to play it. So, so that was one game I've been playing. The other, I have 2 more I've been playing. We'll talk about this one. Oh,
can I ask my question?
You want to ask a question, Matt? Yeah.
God damn it, Matt! No more fucking. Go ahead.
I have one question, dude. It's not that big of a deal.
You're fine. Go ahead.
All right. So, Mitch, I know you've played Hades.
Yes.
Dan, have you played Hades?
Yep.
I love Hades.
All right. So. Yeah, Hades and Returnal are both roguelites, and they both are like actually heavy on the narrative components.
Yeah.
How do you feel based on what you've played of both games? How do you feel in terms of the way that the narrative is delivered? Because I felt like it was actually pretty smooth in Hades, and I was really surprised that a roguelite game could give you those story beats, but still have that same game loop.
I don't think I can properly answer your question,
Okay.
just because I don't have enough. But I do like how both have delivered. They're both very different on how they deliver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hades is more based off of how many times you die. You get more info based off how many times you die, rather than how far you're progressing in the level. Whereas I feel as if the way I've been playing it, and probably I think I've done 6 runs already on Returnal. Maybe that's about how many runs I've done.
4.
Right.
Yeah, I've gotten little feedings of story, but it's not at the beginning, and it's not talking to people. It's more of like it's hard to explain. It's almost like you learn as you play.
Yeah.
Do you guys?
Whereas Hades has like that home world where like you go around, talk to everyone, like with the devil and stuff, and everyone's in your bedroom. You kind of just respawn into your ship, and there's a few things you learn in your ship, which I assume you'd learn more the more further you get in the game. Yes. And then you just get out, and you start again, and then you pick things up as you go along. So it's a bit different.
And you might run into like the same story beat as you're trying to get through the first section, but you don't have to do it anymore because you already did it. It's like
Here's a follow up. Here's a follow up to that. So Hades takes approximately 50 deaths, right? Like 50 runs before you actually complete it. Like you have enough shit to kill Hades. Like that's an average, right?
That's the average. I did it in like 32.
Right. The average is like 50 deaths. 50 runs.
Hi, McWomble here, just to say what happened to the abrupt end to that section of the episode this week. Mitch's internet crapped out, so for all the crap that he gives me about how bad my internet is and how I sometimes freeze when I'm talking, my internet's never actually shat the bed. Right, on with the show.
Together 2 videos? I don't know how to do that.
So sorry, Keith. You have to put two videos together. We're back. I'm so sorry. My internet went out because I don't know what the fuck happened, because we really don't have that problem out here, at least at this apartment. It's a rarity. I'll admit, though, I've had weird issues with my internet kind of all day today. Like Splatoon was acting weird today, which was the next game I was going to talk about, but then Burkoff had a question, and then we got lost in Magic Land. So what was your question, Burkoff?
My question was with regards to Returnal in comparison to Hades.
Mm-hmm. Time length. I don't.
Yeah, like all right. So Hades takes approximately 50 deaths or 50 runs before you complete it. You get to the end of the game. You guys, you don't really know how long Returnal is going to take you, but do you anticipate that it might be around that same time frame?
I don't. I really can't. I really
I
don't know. I'd have to look it up. I believe they said it was about 30 to 40 hours, not 50.
Yeah, it says on the time to beat, it depending how good you are, basically says, and it's between 25 and 40 hours.
That's a big difference, though. That's a huge amount of time. Yeah.
But it also just depends. But I would say the same thing for Hades. I got it done in 32 runs.
Yeah, it took me, I think, 60.
Right. I finished in half the time you did.
Yeah, exactly.
So it really just depends on, to be frank, if it's me, I'm probably gonna get this done. If I really went at it, I'll probably get it done 25, maybe 24, because usually I'm doing even better than the best. All right. In regards to speed runs, but that's just me. I almost beat the boss on my first try, so that says something. And I'm only on my 5th run. That's
interesting. You might already know this, Mitch, and I don't think it's much of a spoiler, and I apologise if you think it is. Once you beat a boss on other runs, you don't have to fight that boss again.
Correct. I knew that. Yes. They mentioned that in the reviews.
That would then make it quicker.
Yes. I think that's the difference they make. You still have to go through all the levels again. You just don't do the boss, which makes the runs even longer. So they're already long as is. They get longer.
Yeah, because obviously your run's going through multiple levels to get back to.
But then I've heard also you can teleport 2 new realms too, so you don't have to go through the old ones again. So like there's a lot of loopholes they have, but yes, I think it'll be shorter, but I think the runs are longer. So it feels like it probably will take more time, but it really doesn't.
All right.
So
Okay.
all right, next game I'm playing. This one. Splatoon 3.
Oh, because of the update,
Update.
or just because?
Just because it came out. Burkoff. It came out 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I all right. I mistook
Splatoon
it
3,
from.
not Splatoon 2.
There was a
Yeah,
there was,
I mistook it. I mistook it for like an update that they did.
No,
look at that. What it says 3. You know, there was 2 games. They made a third one, and it's called a sequel with its own box.
Yeah, it
But
was
yeah.
the most successful, the highest selling launch game in the history of Japanese video games, which
Yeah,
is
it's
crazy.
crazy.
Really? Holy
Yeah.
shit!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids-
I was gonna
kids
ask the
love
question, was it
Splatoon.
necessary? Now you said
They talk
that,
about it all the
obviously,
time.
Yeah,
How much is different? Because I know you're a fan of the series. How much is different
Yeah.
from the last game?
that was actually going to be what I was going to talk about. So there you go. How much is different? Not a lot. Being truthfully honest, not a lot. There's
So my point is valid.
well,
So there's no point in making a new game then.
let me get some. Like, just ruin on the parade here. Don't
I'm
just
sorry,
do
I'm
that
so- I'm
shit.
so sorry,
I
I'm
took
sorry,
all this
yeah.
time to get my Wi-Fi to work again, and now all you're gonna do is just fucking cut me off like that. What the hell, guys? No. In a nutshell, yes. If you've played 2 and you thought it was okay, you probably shouldn't buy 3. If you loved 2, you should buy 3. It's because it's not a lot has changed. They have a one new mode, which is like a 2v2v4, which is a team of 4
interesting.
in the middle and 2 teams on the side trying to take on the team of 4. And if one of the teams of 2 wins, the other team of 2 wins. So it's an interesting gameplay. I've only played that in the demo version because just because there's been Splatfest going on right now because of the launch, which most of those in the Splatfest you play Turf War instead. I still love the premise. I think the premise is ingenious of how to tackle a multiplayer game with covering your side of the map compared to just killing players, which killing players still like is a strategy. But the fact that there's a whole nother strategy to it about covering your side of the map is more interesting. And I think it's way more strategic. I really like it. They did adjust it to where you can play Salmon Run. That now is available to play whenever you want. On Splatoon 2, you had to only do it during certain times of the day that they offered it, which was really stupid. It was gate blocked for some reason, don't know why, but Salmon Run's available whenever you want. It's great. I love the new mode. They've added some extra features. Salmon Run is where you have to kill these enemies and they give you these little eggs and you have to bring them to a basket, and you have to reach a quota by the end of the run, and you get 3 runs at it, and if you fail a run by not meeting the quota, you fail outright. So the cool thing about the eggs is instead of carrying them all the way to the basket, you can chuck them now. So there's a cool strategy where there's a new one where if you destroy this canister full of them and you basically create a line with your teammates and you just chuck them to each other and then you just chuck down the line. It's actually super cool. So like they've added a lot of stuff for the people that like the game. We'll see small incremental changes to quality of life and improvements. But the one thing I will say of this game, they've added more features to it, but not necessarily like gameplay features, just extra stuff. And it's really, really hard to know what stuff they added because it's a lot. It has its similar problem to Returnal. There's a lot of text everywhere, and it really doesn't lead you to things. So like an example, my friend, actually the one that got married that gave me this thingy, he's the big Splatoon fan, so we play together.
Nice.
He was like, he's like, dude, did you know about the catalog? And I was like, what the fuck is a catalog? And he's like, just look at your menu. And like I looked at my menu and there was like this giant exclamation mark that I completely didn't know that was there before, that you can buy like extra stickers and stuff to put in your pad. And I was like, oh, well, did it just mention me in text and I just breezed by it because there's so much text in the game because there's no voiceover in the game?
And it did.
And it probably did. So like there's just a lot. There is a lot more that there was before, but it's a lot of hoobie-jooby junk. The new features, though, are really fun, and for me that is a fan of the game, I think it adds to the gameplay. I like some of the new weapons. Like, some of it is really cool. But yeah, again, like in a nutshell, if you like the game before, you'll like this version because there's some updates to it that make it really fun. And if you were like, I don't like it, or I'm on the fence from when you last played it, I wouldn't recommend buying it. Obviously, Nintendo doesn't decrease their price, so I would try to get it used for a discount then if you thought it was okay and you might want to play
like
the next one.
$2 off. It's
Sure.
true, dude. Like
I know,
the used
I
versions
know,
are like $2
I
off.
know,
It's like $58
I
instead
know.
of $60.
Find a friend that will give you a bigger discount than that didn't
That's
like it.
crazy, the sales of this game. 3.75 million in the first 3 days. That's 3%
Yeah.
of the population of Japan bought
Yeah.
this fucking game. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Does it? All right.
It's a
does
great
it,
game.
Does it represent or does it recognize your previous saves?
Yes, it
does
does actually. So,
Okay,
what,
so
what
that-
it did,
Okay.
so it recognized my playthrough through the second game and gave me some bonuses that allowed me to buy some of the some of the weapons ahead of time.
Yeah.
So like you're gated by weaponry by your level, and as you just increase your level, you'll get more weapons. Which so like in Splatoon, there's two things. So you get the weapon, but then also comes with two different perks: a certain type of grenade of paint, and then there's also a special, and it only is tied to that specific weapon. So like you can't mix and match those things, which my friend and I actually were talking about this today, being like, hey, I understand why they did it, but we almost wish that we could have the freedom to choose. But I can understand why they did it too, because it has to be balanced. But anyway, so what they do is they recognize my last save file, and they unlocked more weapons for me ahead of time and gave me the things to be able to purchase them ahead of time because I played the game before. So I was able to get basically the same weapons I've used throughout all my playthroughs before, and it wasn't as jarring jumping in being like, oh, I have to use this weapon I freaking hate using every single freaking time. So no, it allowed a good jump point. They still had to make me do the tutorial though, which I was like, come on, man. I did the demo, which makes you do the tutorial, and then 2, I played this freaking game before, and the tutorial is the same type of tutorial as the second game, so I don't need to play this tutorial, but give it to me anyway. But beats the
You
point.
bought this game, Mitch, if you didn't have anyone to play with.
Would I have?
Yeah,
No. Meh.
that's what I thought.
Probably.
You wouldn't play randos?
I mean,
I would play randos.
I mean, I do play randos, and I do enjoy playing randos, but I just find more
Right.
enjoyment playing with my friend.
And that's why I haven't bought the game, because I don't really have anyone in my time zone that plays it. So
Right.
I feel like I like the look. I've always like the look of these games, but I've never had anyone within a reasonable time zone to play these on the regular.
Yeah.
I just didn't bother playing. You know what I mean?
And
Like,
this-
I like the aesthetic looks really cool. What I might try and do is convince my brother to get it for my nephews, because I think that'll be quite fun for us to play online with them. So that might be our way into it, because I like the look of it, and I've always thought, oh, I think I could get into this game, but I'm not just going to buy it just to play with randos. I want to play it. And I play it with randos as well, but I want someone to play it with.
Yeah,
a lot
I
of
mean,
my
this one suffers from like there's a ranked mode to like increase your rank if you want to, and then there's just like Turf War is just casual. But
Yeah.
what the issue becomes is this game is very strategic, like I said, which is what I really like. But when you're playing with randos, it's really hard to do, because if they don't know how to play, it becomes extremely
don't do
frustrating
stuff
because
to do.
they ruin it for everybody. The nice thing though is if you are on a squad and you do well, and you can stay with that squad forever. They'll just keep matchmaking you together. You can stick with the squad, which is I really, really like. So
Well, that's good.
so we had like one squad where we won 3 in a row. And it was great. So but yeah, again, I like it. I'm excuse me.
Bless you.
I'm really enjoying myself. Like I like the second game, and I really like this one. Final game I'm playing, and then I can go to Evan. This is a kickback a little bit, but it reminds me, and I'm happy we talked about Assassin's Creed for a little bit too, because it brings me back to that. I was watching the Rings of Power show, that Lord of the Rings show on Amazon Prime, and it made me think, man, those Shadow of Mordor games, those were good.
What?
And then I also was like, I don't think I finished Shadow of War. Guess I should go back and play those. So I started Shadow of Mordor again, and I realized, one, the game is not great. It's good. Like its structure is pretty bad though, in regards to like how they feed you the story for the first one. But what I will say is I really love the open world elements because there's not a lot of it. And whatever I do is extremely meaningful to all my weaponry. Like if I want to increase my sword and give me more points towards my sword, I go do the sword challenge. If I want to go increase the stuff to my bow, I go do the bow challenge. I don't have to worry about doing all these hooky dooky side missions, get all these points that I got to put towards the weaponry. Like, I mean, I do still get points that I put towards my weaponry, but that's just from natural progression, not from doing all these freaking side missions to like say, oh, you need to get more points. So like I'm and I was like, oh, this combat's still good. I really like this combat. But I am noticing how jarring it is that it is like one of the first PS4 games, and you can really tell. But yeah, I'm having a short blast with it, and it just reminded me of like how much I missed condensed open world games, and it just reassured how much. Yeah, it reassured me more of like how much I really don't like Assassin's Creed for how bloated it has become.
The Nemesis system isn't enough to win you over.
Oh, I like the Nemesis system a lot. I dig it.
Yeah, I think that's a great system.
Well, I didn't say I didn't like the game.
No, I said it's not enough to win you over to like enjoying an open world again, I guess.
Oh, I'm enjoying this open world, but it's not because of the Nemesis system.
Okay.
It's because it's just more condensed. It's not this giant hoopla of 500 million points on the map. There's like 7 points, and it all seems like I can do it in a relatively good amount of time, and I'm enjoying doing it.
Right.
It's like it actually respects the player's time for once, compared to other open world games where I feel like it doesn't respect my time.
And then Shadow of War, from what I've heard, I haven't played it, kind of ruined that, where they went too far.
I think they got bloated. The issue was
towards the end.
Well, I heard the reason, the issue with Shadow of War was you had to do a lot of leveling up, and then they basically said instead of grinding, microtransactions. And that's basically what that's what
they
killed the
integrated
game.
that, and it screwed up the entire upgrading system and level progression.
It did that, and then also after you've like basically completed the game, or like the mid game, where you had to, it just became a bit of like a weird game of chess that was against you unless you were using microtransactions. Okay. So that's what irritated me about it.
Yeah. So that's what
I remember. Getting the platinum trophy in Shadow of Mordor, the first one, I remember it was such a pain in the ass, because what you had to do is you had to kill I don't remember the name of it, but basically like you had to create your nemesis from the bottom of the totem pole in a specific way, and have them kill you till they get to the top, and they had like specific like passive elements and requirements and levels, but by the time they got to that point, it was so hard to fucking kill them. So you had to like
complaining about a platinum trophy and how difficult it is.
No,
but he complains that there's baby trophies.
Stuff.
He
like I
complains
appreciate
there's baby trophies.
This is Evan just like,
can never win.
This is how you get the platinum, no cap.
No cap.
This is how Evan just can never win with platinum trophies.
I think it's fun.
I'm always complaining. Why do I do platinum trophies? I
don't know.
So you can complain about them later.
It's just punishing, isn't it?
No, but
like
the journey, man. It's the journey. What I'm trying to say is, like,
the liar.
when you kill that final nemesis after you've raised him from a little baby. It's great. And then you sneeze in Miles Morales and you get the platinum trophy. That's a disappointment. But anyways,
So that's
Shadow
the game I
of
need to
Mordor
play.
it's a good
Your-
game, but
your-
I haven't played it for a
Your
while.
platinum trophy is flagellation.
Fraudulent?
That's it. Flagellation. That's you whipping yourself every time you get to a platinum.
Depending on the game, you are 100% right. Yeah, and Micetopia is the reason that my current handle is Platinum Fraud. I'll never live that down. I wish I could erase it from my history, but
And finally,
Rafa's in there with me. and-
Evan, what have you been playing?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, how much time do we have?
Nobody saves
much
the
time
world.
as
I
you
want to hear
want.
about this shit.
Okay. So I'll cut it to 2 games. Okay, briefly, and Rafa's played this as well. If anyone is in between bigger games and they want to just listen to a podcast and just relax,
Come for the beer, stay
highly
for the
recommend-
platinum complaining, Swanland.
No. Oh, is that what Swanland said? Yeah, he knows. He knows what's going on. By the way, bud, if you've seen Barbarian, Swanland, let me know what you think, because I've heard great things. I have to wait
Woman
for
King
a
is
good
better.
download, if you know what I mean.
The Woman King is
Woman
better.
King is good.
The Woman King is the best film of the year, hands down. Better than Top Gun
Okay.
Maverick. And Top Gun Maverick was my favorite movie of the year
Ooh.
before that.
Playing.
Hot take.
Some big words, but I do want to see The Woman King as well. So Toem, which is free on the medium tier of PlayStation Plus now, is just a very neat kind of isometric black and white game. It's just like super chill, and you have to solve puzzles by going into first person and taking pictures with your camera. It's a very, very neat game. Rafa got the platinum, so did I. It's a very easy platinum, but the game itself is actually really, really good, and I highly recommend anyone that's in between longer games to take a crack at that. But Nobody Saves the World, which is a Drinkbox Studios game, the makers of the Guacamelee games, which I say are probably the best Metroidvania games in the past
Really?
decade. And I'm saying that because Blasphemous is
outside of-
not a Metroidvania.
What about Bloodstained?
Bloodstained is up there. I hold
But it's below
Bloodstained
the Guacamelee.
in a way it actually might be, because the
Oh,
combat
shit.
in Guacamelee is better.
That's
What are you
that's
talking about,
some-
dude? The guacamole's the best part.
Well, that's some heavy words.
Yeah, it's a hard one. So, anyways, this game came out at the beginning of this year, and artistically, it's quite different from Guacamelee. And like, what was that PlayStation, that PS Vita game they made where you're like cutting off limbs with your
Oh, Severed.
Severed.
Severed,
Thank you.
Yeah.
That artistic style is much closer to Guacamelee, and I'm guessing they probably got bored of that style and they just wanted to do something different. When
Yeah.
I first saw this game, I just completely bounced off. It was like, this looks like a fucking Flash game.
It
Just
looks
not-
like
just
it
interested.
looks like Binding of Isaac or Super Meat Boy. It looks like an Edmund McMullen game.
Actually, yeah, you're right. It actually does.
Yeah.
And it
How does it play?
I bought it because one podcast I listened to talked it up so much. It's well, they say an action role playing dungeon crawling game, so it's top down. It totally is like
Right.
linked to the past. So like the castle is in the middle of the map, and you're going around in overworld, and then you go into dungeons, and
Sounds like Breath of the
the
Wild.
dungeons are the dungeons are
Sorry,
like
breathing of the
hook-
wilderness. Sorry.
breathing of
Well,
the
it's
wilderness.
2D. It's still 2D though.
It's still 2D, yeah. But going back to the art a little bit, it looked bad, but when you play it and you see it on your screen, I ended up liking how different it looked from anything I've ever played. And then when you have like lighting from torches and stuff, it adds to the overall atmosphere of the game, and also the different areas of the game. So you have your desert, you have your forest, you have your swamp. They play with colors in a way that differentiate the areas of the map to a degree it's really, really interesting. So it won me over in the end, even though it looked like a Flash game to me the first time I saw it. The same thing with Hollow Knight, really. I thought Hollow Knight was like I don't like the way that looks.
What
It's
are
the
you
paper
playing
doll.
it on?
It's the
You playing
paper
it
doll
on?
mechanics.
What are you playing it on? Aaron?
Yeah, PlayStation 5.
Okay.
So the way this game differs from something like a Zelda is you have this little wand. You are nobody. You're this blank slate. You use the wand to change into different forms. So like a mouse, a mermaid, a giant like oiled up tanned bodybuilder, a dragon, a necromancer, a horse. And the horse is actually funny because it can only kick backwards. So you have to position yourself the opposite way to kick enemies. And then you can hold R2 to lock in place, so you're like moving backwards while kicking enemies. It's kind of neat. You don't gain XP by killing enemies. You gain XP by fulfilling stipulations for each character. So the whole, you know how like mobile games are make the numbers go up. There's a meter and it's red to orange, and then it hits green, and there's a giant check mark, and then it like takes all of that, and it goes into like and it just makes you feel good because of like the way it looks, the colors, the sound effects all together,
sorry,
right?
how does that
And it
go
kinda,
again?
Well, I don't know if I can recreate those sound effects, but it's
Da-da-da-da-da.
yeah, the way it creates like how you level up or you fulfill requirements or stipulations, it makes it feel like some sort of like mobile game where they're trying to hook you. But just basically it'll be like kill 50 enemies with your back kick, and then you get a new thing. It's like, okay, enemies who are lit on fire, kill them while they're lit on fire. And it just, for each specific like form, they just keep layering that stuff on top of each other. And at first it's super fun because you go in there and just swarms of enemies come at you, probably like a Diablo dungeon crawler, although the game isn't really specifically focused on loot, because what you have to do is kill enemies in a specific way to gain experience. You can't just kill enemies and get experience. And then
Do you expand
go ahead.
skills?
Yeah, so
There's skill
so
trees.
there's for each one, but basically it's like you have to fulfill each stipulation, and then
Right,
you rank from like F to all the way up to S rank for
All right, so
each character.
the reason I asked that question is you said it's not like Diablo, but it is similar to Diablo in the way that even if you're not getting like randomized loot, you're still working towards like buffing certain things.
Sure. And then what ends
Right.
up happening for each character is once you upgrade them enough, you're able to take passive skills from other characters and integrate them into others. So you could be a turtle
like Mega Man.
with like, I guess so, but it's all interchangeable. And then once you get to like the further into like the more difficult dungeons, they'll have stipulations like there's no health and you can't get health pickups in this dungeon, or
But
every
the-
time.
the stuff
Go
that
ahead.
you get is not helpful, or it's not like specific towards like a specific enemy.
No, like the only thing is depending on the dungeon, some enemies have an elemental shield that you need to break before you can start doing damage on them.
Okay.
And specific forms, like the mermaid or the horse or the rat, will do specific elemental damage. But what you can do is attach the rat's elemental damage onto the horse. So then the horse can do strike damage plus poison damage.
Okay.
So what you start doing is just like, you look at the dungeon, you're like, okay, this dungeon requires like strike and poison, and what's the other one? There's like light damage. So then
Okay.
what you want to do is like go into your forms and attach like certain moves and passive skills onto them that will get you through the dungeon easier. And so there's a lot of pre-planning when it goes into dungeons, and it keeps building and building and building.
Like once
The
you
problem
understand,
is-
once you understand the systems, though, it's like it makes sense.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
fun. It's super fun, but
And you
the
know what
problem
I've
is like
just
after
discovered?
it's
Couch co-op and online co-op. So I'll be
Oh,
playing
shit.
online
I
this
played
day.
it
Right.
all by myself, and a friend of mine whom I work with, he played it with a friend, and he's like, he told me, he's like, dude, I don't know how you played this by yourself, because this is so much more fun playing with someone else. It most likely is. That's me not being able to play with anyone, unfortunately. But it's because you can, and actually, one interesting thing about the leveling is whoever the host is, it just levels the other person up to the level of the host.
Nice.
And both of you
Alright,
gain
okay.
experience. It just makes it easier for everyone. I played it all by myself. One thing that slightly ruins the game is I got the platinum, so you have to get all of the 17 forms up to S rank. So the
Jesus.
higher you get, the stipulations for getting experience
Harder.
arbitrary. It's like you have to be blindfolded and all the enemies have to be burned while also sneezing, and then you have to punch and kick them at the same time. It's like, oh my god, I don't want to fucking do this anymore.
Right.
And they just keep adding like stipulations, like addendums and appendixes to everything. But the game is fun. It just how hard do you want to
Beat it.
dive into that?
Yeah. Did you? I said play PlayStation 5. Awesome. Cool.
It's yeah.
Did you? Oh, did you
it's-
buy
it-
the? Did you buy the edition with the expansion?
No, I didn't. So I bought the initial game, and then I went to like a special area that they introduced, and then it's like, okay, please enter area, and I pressed like the cross button, and then it said option not available. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? And all that meant is I didn't
Own.
buy the DLC, but I
Yeah.
didn't know that there was DLC, so I thought there was something
Yeah, 'cause
buggy with the game.
It's currently $17.99 for the both on PlayStation Store in pounds. I don't know how it is in
Dude,
dollars in the US, but
I played it for
I think I
like
might buy it.
35 or 6 hours to get the platinum trophy.
good.
It's a super fun game. The end game gets a bit tiring because you have to grind to rank up your forms. But if you're not,
if
don't care about trophies,
platinum trophy.
well, of
I
course,
wouldn't care
yeah.
about that.
then
Yeah,
you
okay.
probably don't need to do that. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Again, me doing platinum trophies is ruining my experience with games, but it's still a really good game. The other game I've been playing is Inscription, which finally came to PlayStation. Now, I am known on this show to be one that is very, very, I was going to say closeted, but that's not the right word. Not limited, but I don't play a lot of genres of games, so much so that we did an episode to try to pitch me specific games because
Oh,
I just
yeah, I
don't
remember that.
go out of my wheelhouse. I stay in my safe zone of the games the genres I like to play.
Oh,
And
this
what-
is the one you played before Nobody Saves the World.
Yeah, and now I'm back into it because
Oh,
I
all right,
did-
okay.
I didn't like Act 2, so I took a break and played Nobody Saved the World. But since I beat that, I got back into it. But so one of the games that got me out of my comfort zone was the Talos Principle, and Burkoff is the one who pitched that on the very show where we were making fun of me being so close-minded when it comes to genres of video games. And I'm super happy because Talos Principle is like one of my favorite games of the past X amount of years, like whatever you want to say,
Decade.
5 years, 10 years, yeah. So this is one of those games where this came out, what is it? 2021.
Last year.
Yeah, last year, like the end of summer, and every single podcast was talking about how amazing it was, and I'm like, okay, like it was just solely PC, and then it came to PlayStation. I'm sure other places as well, in August, and it's one of those games that I heard so much about where I'm like, okay, it is a roguelike deck building game. There are no two combinations of words in the English language that would make me completely reel backwards and run the other direction than roguelite and deck building.
Deck building.
I despise roguelites. I played Dead Cells, I beat it. If I make it to December without playing Hades again, it will be 1 year since I played exactly one run of Hades. I own that game, a physical copy on PlayStation 4. I played one run of it, and like, I'm back to the beginning. I don't think so, and I put it away. That's how much I despise rogue. Yeah, that's
Fuck,
it.
dude,
I
it's
haven't-
such a good game. It's
I
such a
haven't
good
played it.
game.
I don't like
last
roguelites.
December.
Yeah,
I don't like
it's such
roguelites.
a good
I like
game.
that game because it's not as
I just-
punishing as other roguelites.
Like Dead Cells, you make it to the end boss or like
No,
midway and you
dude,
die and you're like,
Hades-
I don't want to fucking
Hades-
go through the sewers again.
As-
Like,
yeah,
fuck the sewers.
As somebody who's played both, Hades is so much better than Dead
Yeah.
Cells.
Well, it looks better, and it has a better story where it integrates the idea of like roguelites like into the game, where you keep trying. And Hades is like, I don't believe you can get out of here.
Yeah,
I
the
like
reacts. The game reacts to how many times you played it. Yeah.
It was like what is his name? Greg Kasavin?
Kasavin, yeah. Kasavin was the guy that was like, yeah, we need to figure out how to make these work narratively. Right, and I like the guy at work. He's the guy that got like the 938 achievements in Binding of Isaac. So he's like roguelite mastered. And all I do is tell him how much I hate roguelites. He's like, oh, you're a really fun person to hang around with. I'm just kidding. Like, he knows that I'm just joking. But I don't like these games. And I don't like card games. I stay away from every card game. That stupid game in Horizon Forbidden West when you put the
little chess pieces. That's amazing
this game
game.
Fucking sucks.
That's so good.
Fuck off with this shit. I know you like it. I know you really like it, Dan. You are the strat. I'm too dumb, Dan. I can't play chess. I can't even play checkers. I'm a simple-minded man. But like, I like more puzzle-based stuff, like Talos Principle. Like that's the type of stuff where I will buckle down and figure it out without any hints. When it comes to board games,
hope, like they did with the Horizon, the first game, they make a board game like a chess version board game of that game.
They probably
I really
will.
hope someone kickstarters that. I know I need to follow that to make sure,
like,
because I've got the Horizon board game. It's so much fun.
Okay.
I'm just saving. I just need to get some expansions. So you can get the big Stormbird and stuff. It's awesome. Anyway, sorry.
Having a Stormbird would actually be pretty cool. If it's detailed enough, and it doesn't come in the mail fucking like with a wing broken off. But the reason that Inscription itself interested me so much is the atmosphere of the game. I don't know if have any of you like seen any of what this game looks like?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just googled it. It's interesting.
It is amazing how the way a game looks, like a bit more low polyed on purpose. It's 3D, but also music and ambient sound and just all of these things put together, just like, what the hell is this game? It's really, really weird. It goes places you don't think it does. It like breaks walls, whether they're the fourth wall or not. And that was the thing that intrigued me about it. So you play it, and that was my initial drive. Was I like the way this game looks. You're just in this cabin sitting across from these two eyes. You can't see anything. It's kind of bouncing up and down, and it's creepy. It's foreboding. It's ominous, and it's Burkoff. I would be really, really interested if you end up giving this game a shot. What you think about it? Because there's a lot here that I think you might like.
There's two games that it makes me think of. One is Hand of Fate, which has two games that have already come out.
It looks like Hand of Fate a bit.
Yeah, so it reminds me of Hand of Fate. Yeah, it reminds me of Hand of Fate and Slay the Spire. That's what it kind of like. Based on what I've seen, that's what it looks like. It mashes together.
Yeah. So there's 3 acts on the game. I did not like Act 2 so much, so I bounced off of it and ended up playing Nobody Saves the World. But I beat it Act 2 today, and I'm in Act 3, and it's just one of those games that's just so different, and I'm just happy, whether or not like you 100% agree with the direction or you like the entire game. It's like, it's a Hotline Miami, it's a Return of the Obra Dinn, it's an Inside. You're just happy these people are on the fringe of gaming that are just making some of the weirdest, like thought-provoking games, like just and like audio design, aesthetics, all wrapped into just a very strange package. So my friend at work is dying for me to finish Act 3 so we can talk about it, because apparently it kind of wraps everything up, even though it's so esoteric. But apparently it kind of answers all these questions. But yeah, I really like Inscription, and yeah, I don't know. If I can get into a deck building game that's also roguelite, I mean, that's amazing. That's like basically a miracle. It's good.
Nice. I'm not going to buy that game, but I might buy the one previously, the first one you talked about.
Yeah, if you end up playing it, Dan, it's super chill. Like once you start getting into the dungeons, you know the deal. I was just listening to music, putting in podcasts, and you can just kind of fucking coast when you start getting like, okay, take this passive ability, take this ability,
Yeah.
attach it to this guy.
RPGs
Yeah,
are always up my.
It's on
Okay.
Game Pass, Dan.
Oh, is it on Game
Oh,
Pass?
dude,
Yeah.
it's fun.
Oh,
It's
amazing! I definitely
yeah.
play it then because I was going to get
If
on
you guys,
PlayStation, but I was
if you
gonna
guys
play it on
start
Game
it,
Pass. It's on Game Pass.
if you guys start it, let me know. I really enjoyed it, despite
Awesome.
my misgivings. Not misgivings, but kind
Yeah.
of getting bored at the end. Yeah.
Could be my
I think-
half-time game.
I think I'm playing Yakuza for the rest of the year, but I do want to play Nobody Saves the World eventually.
And when we both finish the Yakuza games, we have to do a giant podcast about it without McWomble to spoil our fun. All right.
Was it Yakuza 1 and... Oh, sorry. I'll do it after the podcast finishes.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's the show. Like we got to end it sometime soon. We've done 2 full recordings of it. So if you like the podcast, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We're here at twitch.tv/pixelpints every single weekend. If you want to know when we go live, check us out on Twitter. The Twitter is where the business happens. That is pixel_pints. If you want to check out the fun things, that's Instagram, and that's Pixel Pints Pod. We archive every single episode on twitch.tv/pixelpints, but also on YouTube. Go to Pixel Pints on YouTube, and you will find us. Click on that mug. And we're also on every podcasting service across the globe. So, thanks, guys. This was a blast.
Yeah.
Burkoff, say the magic words.
Well, first we gotta give a shout out to Swanland for just
Thanks, man.
hanging out the entire episode. Even with the break, he came back for the second half
Yeah,
of the
thanks,
show.
bud.
Thanks, buddy.
And he's been here like the last 3 episodes. So
Yeah, if you
Definitely shout out to him.
watch us live on the show and we will engage with you on the show, of course, because we appreciate people that spend the time just to listen to our voices of
And our
ramblings, idiots talking about what they think they know of games. So, Burkoff, say the magic words.
But yeah, on that note, I think we're out. Nice.
You know what I was thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, was Yakuza 1 and 2 on PlayStation 2?
Yes, the first.
The original. Yeah.
The first two
Not the
games.
the original. Okay.
Yeah.
Just because when I was in China, in my China days, when I had my chipped PlayStation 2 when I was poor
Okay.
and